Hi, Koinonia. So we are continuing our midweek devotional. Last week, Aaron talked about reading scripture and talked about how we can do that best throughout the week. And now this week, we're looking at the story of Esther. We talked about Esther on Sunday night, and so as our midweek devotional, we wanted to connect back to that story. And so if you haven't had a chance to read Esther on your own, I want to encourage you to take the time to do that. It's a really incredible story, and so take the time to read through it. It's not super long. And if you haven't watched Aaron's video on reading scripture, maybe check that out too as you go along reading that. This whole series is about finding hope. It's all about finding God's light amidst dark circumstances. And one thing that we recognize is that to find hope or to remind ourselves of hope, it's important that we have practices that we do throughout the week, that we have intentional time to remind ourselves of the light that God offers us in dark times. And so one practice that we see in Esther is the practice of fasting. So if you read the story, there's a time, multiple times, it talks about how the Jewish people fasted. When they found out about their awful circumstance, about how there was going to be a decree that meant their death, they all fasted. In response to mourning, they, as a community, fasted. And then again, we see Esther, Mordecai, and the community fast right before she makes her big, bold move that ended up saving them from that disaster. So let's focus on that. What are the best ways that we as a community can fast? To start, what is fasting? I think a lot of you guys have had experiences, maybe 30-hour famine as a middle schooler, of fasting, or maybe Lent. That's a time where we fast too. But let's just pause here. What does fasting mean? Fasting is a tradition that we've seen all throughout Christian history where people interrupt their normal week or their normal day to fix their eyes on God. And so often we see that with food, when we take away the normal times throughout our day that we would be eating to not eat, we then have the opportunity to focus on God. Or when we fast during Lent from technology or from other daily routines, we're taking out something normal so that we can focus on God. Why do we fast? Now, fasting, like I said, is a way that we can disrupt our normal routine so that we can focus on God. I don't know about you guys, but I often find that my days just end up going by super quick, where I had all the intentions in the world to spend time with God, but then all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock at night and my day just got filled. I wake up in the morning, maybe scroll through Instagram, then all of a sudden I'm eating breakfast and then there's work to be done. I go for a run, and all of a sudden the day is over. Now, fasting is the practice of carving out time in our daily lives to spend time with God. And so for me, that might look like taking out a meal so that during lunch, instead of eating, I get to read my Bible and spend time with God. Or in the morning, if I catch myself scrolling through Instagram, if I take out that time where I would normally be doing that and fill it with time with God, suddenly my schedule or suddenly my day has a space for God in it too. And so fasting is all about breaking our normal routine so that we can spend time with God. As we know, as we've talked through this series, we find hope when we have those moments with God. When we fix our eyes on God, then we see the light and the hope that He offers us that is above our situations. When we think of normal spiritual practices, I think we often think of prayer and worship, which are awesome things. But one thing I want to challenge you guys is to think about fasting. Think about how can you incorporate fasting into your normal routine to break up your normal day so that you can focus on God on normal days. I'm in my kitchen right now, and I'm in my kitchen because one way I fast is with food. And now it's not always healthy for everyone to do that, but I find that taking on the challenge of skipping a meal or two throughout a day helps me really fix my eyes on God. Every time my stomach grumbles or I find myself hungry, I'm reminded of who God is. I'm reminded that truly all I need is God. Now, fasting from food might not be healthy for everyone, and it's certainly something to only do once a week, not suggesting that you should fast from food every single day. But I want to challenge you, maybe fasting from food or something else that is really hard for you might be something spiritually really healthy for you. So that's all about fasting. That's what fasting looks like for me. I want to challenge you guys, try to fast this week. Read the book of Esther, and then from that, think about what fasting may look like for you in your life.